All right, let's talk about something that sounds a bit out there, but when you dig into it, it makes a ton of sense. We're going to explore a pretty radical idea about how we run our societies, one that really challenges how we think about the rules that govern our lives. So let's just start with this one big question. What if laws weren't permanent? What if they came with an expiration date? Kind of like a software subscription. They'd have to be renewed every few years to prove they're still actually useful. It's a simple thought, but wow, the implications are just massive. So why is that question so important? Well, it's because it gets right to the heart of a huge fundamental problem with our current system. Our laws are essentially designed to be immortal. I mean, really think about that for a second. When a new law is passed, the default setting is forever. It just gets added to this enormous, ever-growing pile of legislation that goes back decades, sometimes centuries. There's no automatic system for cleaning out the old stuff. It just stays there, forever. And this is where you see a really strange mismatch. We, the people who have to live under these laws, are around for maybe 80 years, give or take. Our technology, our culture, our values, they're all changing constantly. But the laws themselves, they're built to be permanent, to outlive the very people and the very world that created them. And look, this isn't just some philosophical thing to debate. This permanence has real everyday consequences. It creates this kind of drag, this weight from the past that holds us all back. And it comes with a serious hidden cost. There's a fantastic analogy for this whole problem. Our society is like Gulliver from the story, tied down. But not by one big, obvious rope. No, we're tied down by thousands and thousands of tiny, old strings. Each outdated law might seem pretty harmless on its own, but when you add them all up, they basically paralyze us. There's a perfect term for this, actually, borrowed straight from the tech world: archaic bloatware. It's just like that old, clunky software that makes your phone or computer grind to a halt. All these outdated laws clog up the system, and they make it harder for society to function, to innovate, and to adapt to new challenges. And the cost of all this legal clutter is very, very real. It stifles innovation because people are afraid to try new things. It creates these insane mazes of complexity that no one can navigate. It actively slows down progress, forcing us to play by rules made for a world that just doesn't exist anymore. And we waste a ton of time and money enforcing laws that probably shouldn't even be on the books. Okay, so that's the problem. We're basically drowning in the sea of permanent laws. But what's the solution? Well, it turns out there's a really elegant idea. Almost like a garbage collection system for our government. It's called a sunset clause, and the idea is so simple, it's brilliant. When you pass a new law, you build in an expiration date from the very beginning. So the law might be in effect for, say, 5 years, or maybe 10, and after that, it just disappears. It sunsets. Unless lawmakers take a look at it and actively decide, hey, this is still working, it's still needed, and they vote to keep it around. This whole process just completely flips the script. The default is no longer forever. The new default becomes temporary. And what this does is it forces a moment of review. It forces us to ask, is this law still doing what we wanted it to do? Is it still relevant? Is it worth keeping? If the answer is yes, great, renew it. But if the answer is no, or if everyone just forgets about it, poof, it vanishes automatically. No endless debate, no political hassle, just gone. This is exactly like the garbage collection process that runs inside your computer. It's a little background program that automatically finds and deletes information that's no longer being used to keep everything running smoothly. A sunset clause is proactive maintenance for society's operating system. So what does this all mean for the big picture? I mean, putting this idea into practice isn't just some small technical fix. It represents a deep, fundamental shift in how we even think about governing ourselves. And it all comes down to this one powerful insight. It should be easier to remove a law than it is to create one. Right now, it's the exact opposite. All the political energy goes into making new laws while getting rid of old ones is this incredibly difficult, thankless job that almost never gets done. This idea flips that whole dynamic around. It makes removal the easy, automatic path. This completely changes the job of a lawmaker. They stop being just builders who only add new rooms onto an already cluttered house. Instead, they become more like gardeners. And a good gardener doesn't just plant new things. They spend most of their time pruning, weeding, and making sure the entire garden stays healthy and can thrive. The goal shifts from just accumulating more stuff to actively curating what we already have. And that leaves us with this final thought to chew on. We almost always assume that progress means adding something new, a new rule, a new program, a new law. But what if, in a world as complex and cluttered as ours, real progress actually looks more like subtraction? What if the best way to build a more dynamic, a more responsive, and a more efficient future isn't to build more, but to thoughtfully uninstall? It's a powerful question.